Welcome to my channel. Today's scary story is called The Baby Cry Through the Wall. It was 3 a.m. and I was awoken in my apartment by what sounded like a baby crying. Now this is strange because there are no families with kids that live in my apartment building. The baby crying was definitely coming from within the walls. I tried to ignore it at first, but the crying just got louder and more frequent. It was a piercing scream that sounded like nails on a chalkboard. I finally got up and went to the living room to try to pinpoint where the sound was coming from. That's when I noticed a small hole in the wall. I could see into the apartment next door, and I could see a crib in the corner of their apartment with what looked like a blanket over it. I shrugged it off and went back to bed. Surely it was just a doll or something. But the next night, the same thing happened. I was awoken by the sound of a baby crying and screaming. I went back to the wall and looked again. This time I noticed that the blanket in the crib had moved. Something was definitely in there moving around. I decided to tell my landlord about it. He sent over one of the maintenance guys to take a look. The maintenance guy looked in the hole and said, "Holy crap, what the hell is in here?" He grabbed his crowbar and went to work on the wall, making a big hole in it. We both looked inside and saw the crib. But now we could also see that the door to the apartment next door was slightly open. We called out, "Hello?" but there was no reply. So we slowly opened the door and walked in. It was then that we saw the most horrifying thing. There was a baby in the crib, crying and screaming. But that wasn't the worst part. The baby had been crying for so long that its eyes were completely dried up, and it had a pacifier in its mouth. But that still wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that the baby was completely sealed inside the wall, as if someone had put it there on purpose. The baby was alive, but it had no way out. I do want to know what happened to that baby or why it was put in the wall. All I know is that I never want to hear that sound again. The end. Now with that, I will leave you with two questions. What do you think happened to the baby? And do you know anyone who has ever heard a baby crying in the wall? Let me know your thoughts. And thanks for watching.